Beep, 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 beep. Live from Wellston, Georgia, it's another episode of the Wartown Times. Be sure to like us on all of our internet doohickeys like Tik Tok, YouTubing, and Defation Booking.
Hey everybody, it's your humble author, narrator, and fictional character. And if there's anything that yours truly knows, it's fiction when he sees it. Now, listen, I'm talking to the good people of Wartown. I can't address the nation or the world. I'm talking to my neighbors here in Wartown. And I want you to listen to me, okay? You know that I do not give 2 cents to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or Donald Trump or Joe Biden, okay? Yours truly does not vote for the lesser of 2 evils because that's voting for evil. And this compromise and cognitive dissonance of voting for the lesser of 2 evils is what has gotten us, America and Americans, in the situation that we're in right now, which is the collapse of empire, okay? That's what's gotten us here. So I don't give crap about party politics. I care about the individual who's running for any given office. All right. That being the case, Americans have a very short attention span and they are extremely reactionary. After 9/11 happened, everybody in America reacted and gave up essential liberties for the illusion of security. And things like the Patriot Act got rushed through, the NDAA got passed through. All of these things were absolutely detrimental to the supreme law of the land. But that's Americans. Americans react. And if I know you're aware of the events at the rally yesterday. I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing on TikTok and give you the mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence and proofs. But if you believe for 2 seconds that that event that happened yesterday was not a false flag, stage, scripted publicity stunt, then you have shit for brains. If you're one of the Wartonians who immediately changed your profile pic to the image of Donald Trump with his fist in the air and blood on his face, you're a dipshit. You are so blind, you are never going to be able to see the sun. Never. Okay? You're bought into the divide and conquer narrative that's been drilled into your psychology in this community, starting with the government schools, what we call public schools, but government schools, where you're drilled with the psychology, the foundational psychology of team sports, Demons versus Eagles, Warner Robins versus Northside. And then as you get older, it gets into Democrats versus Republican, red versus blue, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. You're so bought into that illusion. You're useless. You're going to vote the way you're going to vote anyway. And it's not even like you have a good selection for the CEO of the Corporation of the United States of America, which operates from the District of Columbia this year anyway. It's not like you have a good choice. Okay. It's bad. All right. But if you think that what happened yesterday was not something that was orchestrated, you deserve what's going to come. Okay. And I'm telling you, I've been trying to tell you people in Wartown that things that are going on in the nation and in the world, that this community is not immune to it. You look at what happened in Houston, Texas after a Category 1 hurricane. The government is not inclined, nor can they assist the people in anything. And look, we're not immune from it. It can happen here. So that being the case, guys, Americans have short attention spans. And, just the other day, we have one of the primary authors and spearheads of Project 2025. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. So, guys, like I said, Americans have very short attention spans, and there's always foreshadowing when this type of thing goes on. So just about 11 days ago, you had the president of the Heritage Foundation, the author of Project 2025, coming out and saying this to the world.
That we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Okay, so
we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Okay,
we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
So after that declaration, guys, you have alleged blood. Now, listen, I can't tell you who I just got off the phone with, but it's somebody of a very prominent import here in Houston County. And I said what I know, which is this is a false flag publicity stunt event to galvanize people one way or the other. And they said, do you really think America is that far gone, Daniel? People died. And I go, I'm sure that people died. And I know that America is that far gone. I'm a student of history. I read books a lot. So a false flag, for those of you in Wartown that don't know what a false flag is, a false flag is a hostile or harmful action, such as an attack, that is designed to look like it was perpetrated by someone other than the person or group responsible for it. Okay? So that's what a false flag is. Now, guys, I'm trying to tell you, you're being deceived. And all of you in Wartown who call yourself Bible-believing Christians, most of you know, honestly, that you have not read your book from cover to cover, that you have pawned off the responsibility of knowing what the scriptures say to a pastor who is the head of a corporation also, because most of your churches are 501c3 corporations. Okay. And they give you a certain narrative of what these scriptures say, and you eat it up. And one of those is that if, and we're really going to get into this moving forward because this is an issue that has really affected the good people of Wartown. What a lot of you pastors in our local churches are telling your congregations is a misinterpretation, a gross misinterpretation of the scriptures about the nation state of Israel. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself, and you're going to be held accountable for what you are telling now they're going to be held accountable too for not reading their own scriptures and calling you out for what you're teaching. But if you're going in front of your congregations here in Wartown and you are giving them an interpretation of these scriptures that essentially says that Christians are to support the nation state of Israel no matter what, because of a few vague passages in the Old Testament or the New Testament that you've patched together like Frankenstein to make them believe that that is what the Bible teaches, that we are to support Israel no matter what, because it's what Jesus wants. You are going to have to give an account for that. You truly are. And look what the fruit of supporting the nation state of Israel over the past half century and more. Look how much it's blessed America. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to get into that way more, but you ought to be ashamed of yourself if you are assisting in the greatest deception that humanity has ever seen. Okay. I mean, for God's sake, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the Antichrist here, okay, because I don't think so. But if you look at Revelation 13, I mean, this is the first thing that popped in my head after yesterday's events. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And right after the events of yesterday, how many people I've seen on social media here in Wartown that wondered after Donald Trump and praised him for being this gangster thug hero that somehow or another was able to stand up for that wonderful photo opportunity to rev up his base, who are dipshits anyway, and there's no amount of evidence that you can show them for this guy being a narcissistic, lunatic game show host who was one of Jeffrey Epstein's biggest clients and has been convicted of being a sexual predator. How the cognitive dissonance in Bible-believing Christians who are the machine of the neoconservative Republican Party in our area, how they can actually have the cognitive dissonance of believing that they're Christians who follow Christ and then also can support that maniac is astounding to me. And I'm not talking to those people. Those people are doomed. Those people are going to go straight into the slaughterhouse if their pastors tell them to do it. Okay? I'm talking to those of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear that everybody in this country is being played for fools, and most of you are. This is nothing more than a scripted, staged event meant to divide, conquer, and get everyone in this country at each other's throats for the second Civil War. And you know, whether this was real or whether this wasn't real, there's plenty of evidence already out on TikTok and everywhere else to show that this is not what you think it is. This was not what you think it is. It's a trap, like Akbar says from Star Wars. It's a trap. Okay, guys, we are not immune from what is going to happen in this country here in Wartown. And we need to start having some very, very serious conversations outside of our team sports mentality, outside of our political party affiliations. All of that stuff is bullshit. Things are getting real in your country. And if you have children, if you have progeny, if you have loved ones in this community or in this country, you better wake up. And you better use the good common sense that the good Lord gave you to see this for what it is. Now, look, I'm going to leave you with, if you guys don't know what a false flag is, one of the false flags that really woke me up, and my dad, who was a veteran of 2 foreign wars, who loved this country very much, fought for this country, and was heartbroken to find out about what false flags were way back when. I'm going to leave you with the Ballad of the USS Liberty. Okay, so if you don't know about the USS Liberty, you need to Google it. Okay, you need to do your research on the USS Liberty and put the pieces together. Okay, so anywho, I wanted to get on here and give you my take on it. Wartown, again, I'm addressing my neighbors and people in my community. Don't do team sports anymore. You really need to be paying attention to local government, and you need to be paying attention to who you put in the sheriff's office come November, because it has never been more critical than it is right now. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you with the ballad of the USS Liberty here. You guys keep your head on a swivel. Stay well.
Did you have a friend on the Liberty? I had a friend on the Liberty. They tried to sink her to the bottom of the sea. She kept on floating into history. Unmarked jets flew down from the sky and shot up our ship, and nobody knew why. A torpedo boat blew a hole in her side. A lot of sailors hurt and 34 died. Come to find out it was part of a plan. They'd sink our ship, she'd go down with all hands. Blame it on Egypt to trick us in a war. The trick didn't work, the crew showed them what's for. Did you have a friend on the Liberty? I had a friend on the Liberty who tried to sink her. It was Israelis, but she kept on floating into his story. Oh, LBJ was the president who told us all it was an accident. And now he got traitors like John McCain. You have a friend on the Liberty. I had a friend on the Liberty who tried to sink her. It was Israelis. She kept on floating into his...
Beep, 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 beep. Live from Wellston, Georgia, it's another episode of the Wartown Times. Be sure to like us on all of our internet doohickeys like TikTok, YouTubing, and Defation Booking.